It does not begin with a fireball. It begins with a folder. Letters passed between weapons program officers, Air Force investigators, and a university scientist. For roughly a year and a half, northern New Mexico kept reporting green lights in the sky, and the men guarding the nation's bombs tried to work out what they were. Sandia Base sat outside Albuquerque, alongside Los Alamos, at the heart of the new American nuclear weapons program. This was among the most sensitive ground in the country, so when something kept appearing overhead, the response was not laughter. It was paperwork, and a quiet, growing concern. The record fixes a beginning. The report started about the 5th of December, 1948. Not a single night, but a long season of sightings, brief and recurring, over the same stretch of high desert. The Air Force summary describes the whole episode as a span. December 1948 through May of 1950. Some have told this as 209 fireballs in a single night. The file does not say that. It logs 209 sightings of green orbs, disks, and fireballs, gathered over roughly 2 years. The real figure is striking enough on its own. It simply deserves to be stated accurately. What made these reports hard to dismiss was who filed them. The summary lists commercial airline pilots, military pilots, special intelligence agents, and Los Alamos personnel. Most, the investigators noted, had no prior idea what they were supposed to see. A report from a trained pilot is a different kind of evidence than a rumor. The scientist leading the study was Lincoln La Paz, director of the Institute of Meteoritics at the University of New Mexico. He recorded the green fireballs with care. A yellow-green light, an almost horizontal path, lasting only a few seconds, and in most cases no sound at all. That silence becomes the center of the whole argument. Consider only what the record supports. One yellow-green light, low and level, crossing in a few seconds, then gone. No formation, no maneuver, no explosion. The temptation is to fill the sky. La Paz, who saw one himself near Starvation Peak, set down something far quieter and more exact. In mid-February, 1949, the file records a conference at Los Alamos. The attendee list is the surprise. Norris Bradbury, who directed the laboratory, Fred Reines, a future Nobel laureate, John Manley, and Edward Teller, who would help build the hydrogen bomb. The men at the center of the nuclear program stopped to discuss the lights. The exact words spoken there survive only in a Navy commander's trip report. But the setting is clear enough. A government conference room, a problem laid out by an Air Force captain, and a circle of weapons scientists, treating a string of green lights as something worth a careful afternoon. Teller worked through the physics. An object that fast and that large would slam the air and be heard for 10 kilometers. No one heard a thing. So his tentative opinion, as the report records it, ran opposite to any flying saucer headline. These were probably not material objects at all. Look, he said, to electronics and optics. The matter had a name. The file states it was classified secret under the title Project Grudge, with the Air Force's Air Material Command taking the lead. The green fireballs were not a rumor the government waved away. They were a case the government formally opened. Some accounts say radar confirmed the objects. The file is more careful. It refers to non-radar, optical tracking, used by a section at White Sands, and it discusses arranging a radar investigation for the future. A contemporaneous radar lock on the fireballs is not in these pages. There is a physical evidence thread, and it is more modest than the legend. Crews collected dust samples, and one, catalogued as R104, held many copper-bearing particles. But the analyst's conclusion was cautious. No widespread significant dispersion, he wrote, and the heavy sample should be presumed of local origin, until evidence says otherwise. Some retellings describe perfect copper spheres recovered from the desert. This file describes copper-bearing particles in roadside dust, and a chemist who would not even call them significant. He noted that passing cars could have stirred copper from the pavement. The honest version is less cinematic, and far more trustworthy. The file even gives the sightings a shape on the ground. They clustered, the report says, within a triangle bounded by Los Alamos, Las Vegas, New Mexico, and West Texas. The same airspace, again and again, over the laboratories and bases that built the bomb. This is the question that runs through the whole record. The investigators themselves wrote that the continued occurrence of unexplained phenomena near sensitive installations was cause for concern. Why the nuclear sites? The file raises the question plainly. It does not answer it. The clearest sign of how seriously this was taken is mundane. A security inspection memo from April 1949. The electric gate now closed overnight. Locks replacing bolts on the outer fences. An alert plan drafted. Radios installed in the jeeps. None of it dramatic alone. Together, it is a base quietly tightening itself, while the lights would not stop. And then, each time, it ended. A fading green trace high in the sky, a guard looking up, a jeep on the perimeter road. The investigators kept writing it all down, weighing what they saw, trying to decide whether this was something to fear, or something to explain. Everything here traces back to one record, Anyone can open the Sandia correspondence file, page through its memos, and read the same letters these investigators read. The conclusions should never drift far from the documents that hold them up. Not every claim in the file carries the same weight. The conference, the program name, the security lockdown, the named witnesses, all stated plainly. The single night count, the radar confirmation, the copper spheres, weaker or absent, grown in the retelling. Keeping those two kinds of claim apart is the whole discipline. A separate Los Alamos area record shows scientists in that community still asking, decades later, why they should take such reports seriously. It widens the frame, but it does not confirm the 1949 cluster. Continuing local interest is not a second eyewitness to the green fireballs. The record is genuinely strong where it counts. An official release, readable pages, named scientists, Teller among them, on the record, a documented security response. It is weak exactly where the legend is loudest. No single night count, no hard radar track, no recovered craft. The investigators did not settle on a verdict, and neither will we. Ordinary meteorite falls. Unusual meteor activity, guided missile tests, an atmospheric or optical effect, or something still unexplained. The men working the case kept all of these on the table, and so should anyone reading it now. By his seventh report, in May of 1950, La Paz reached his own conclusion. The fireballs, he wrote, fell into two categories: ordinary meteorite falls, the majority, and possibly US-guided; missile tests, the minority. He declined to recommend a dedicated fireball project. The man closest to the data leaned earthbound. There is a lazy way to dismiss this. Shrug, say meteors, move on. But the file shows weapons scientists who would not shrug, who wrote that activity near sensitive installations was cause for concern. A case taken seriously by Edward Teller and Lincoln La Paz deserves better than a reflex. There is also a lazy way to believe, to turn every gap into proof and every hedge into a cover-up. The file resists that too. The careful position is narrower and stronger. A real documented cluster, unexplained at the time, near the bomb, that the experts could not fully close. After every analysis, the pages remain. Typed memos, hedged conclusions, a meeting where the men who built the bomb argued about lights in the sky and could not agree, not enough to settle the question, enough to keep asking better ones. In the end, the desert gives back quiet. The fence, the water tower, the empty morning sky. The reports thinned, then stopped. The file was classified and put away. The question of why the lights came stayed exactly where the investigators left it. This is why Sandia matters. It holds every element worth testing: a strange visual signature, a nuclear setting, credible witnesses, named scientists, an official file, and serious gaps. The pattern itself is not proof. The pattern is what calls for the investigation. From this one base, the view widens. The same green signature, the same pull toward sensitive sites, surfaces again across the nuclear corridor and into the modern record. The next case follows that pattern past Sandia and asks how far it really reaches.